Hello, welcome to another daily dose of the Bible. We are just reading through the Bible, and, well, okay, we is me and whoever else is participating out there. I'm reading to you. Excuse me. And I'm just, just reading through, and then a little short commentary about what I think about it. But really, it's just the importance of reading these stories. And then, maybe understanding if there's something that's, everything that I, have ever read from the Bible obviously has a great lesson. And that's for us to take from the words of the Lord. And so I want it to be mostly the words of the Lord. And then I'll just, share how it touches me. So we are in Genesis. This is chapter 27. So the last thing that happened was Jacob and Esau. Abraham and Sarah have passed. Jacob and Esau are Isaac's children with Rebekah, and Isaac is getting older, but he has two sons, Jacob and Esau, and Jacob has just deceived Esau and tricked him into selling his birthright. And now this next part is Jacob steals Esau's blessing. So that would be how he actually got the birthright from his dad. One day when Isaac was... Oh, so this is chapter 27. I don't know if I said that, but Genesis 27. One day when Isaac was old and turning blind, he called for Esau, his older son, and said, "My son." "Yes, father," Esau replied. "I'm an old man now," Isaac said, "and I don't know when I may die. Take your bow and your quiver full of arrows. Go out into an open country to hunt some wild game for me. Prepare my favorite dish and bring it here for me to eat. Then I will pronounce the blessing that belongs to you, my firstborn son, before I die." But Rebekah overheard what Isaac had said to his son Esau. So when Esau left for the hunt for wild game, she told her son Jacob, "Listen, I heard your father say to Esau, 'Bring me some wild game and prepare me a delicious meal, and I will bless you in the Lord's presence before I die.' Now, my son, listen to me. Do exactly as I tell you. Go out to the flocks and bring me 2 fine young goats. I'll use them to prepare your father's favorite dish. Then take the food to your father so he can eat it and bless you before he dies." "But look," Jacob replied to Rebekah, "my brother Esau is a hairy man and my skin is smooth. What if my father touches me? He'll see that I'm trying to trick him, and then he'll curse me instead of blessing me." But his mother replied, "Then let the curse fall on me, my son. Just do what I tell you. Go out and get the goats for me." So Jacob went out and got the goats for his mother. Rebekah took them and prepared a delicious meal, just the way Isaac liked it. Then she took Esau's favorite clothes, which were in the house. Kitty. Then she took Esau's favorite clothes, which were there in the house, and gave them to her younger son Jacob. She covered his arms and the smooth part of his neck with the skin of the young goats. Then she gave Jacob the delicious meal, including freshly baked bread. So Jacob took the food to his father. "My father?" he said. "Yes, my son," Isaac answered. "Yes, my son," Isaac answered. "Who are you, Esau or Jacob?" Jacob replied, "It's Esau, your firstborn son. I've done as you told me. Here is the wild game. Now sit up and eat it so you can give me your blessing." Isaac asked, "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" The Lord your God put it in my path," Jacob replied. "Oh my." Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come closer so I can touch you and make sure you are really Esau." So Jacob went closer to his father, and Isaac touched him. The voice is Jacob's, but the hands are Esau's, Isaac said. But he did not recognize Jacob, because Jacob's hands felt hairy like Esau's. So Isaac prepared to bless Jacob. But are you really my son Esau? He asked. Yes, I am, replied Jacob. Then Isaac said, Now, my son, bring me the wild game. Let me eat it, and I will give you my blessing. So Jacob took the food to his father, and Isaac ate it. He also drank the wine that Jacob served him. Then Isaac said, Please come a little closer and kiss me, my son. So Jacob went over and kissed him, and when Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he was finally convinced, and he blessed his son. He said, Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of the outdoors, which the Lord has blessed. From the dew of the heaven, from the richness of the earth, may God always give you abundant harvests of grain and bountiful new wine. May many nations become your servants, and may they bow down to you. May you be the master over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. All who curse you will be cursed, and all who bless you will be blessed. As soon as Isaac finished blessing Jacob, and almost before Jacob had left his father, Esau returned from his hunt. Esau prepared the delicious meal and brought it to his father. He said, Sit up, my father, and eat my wild game, so you can give me your blessing. But Isaac asked him, Who are you? Esau replied, It's your firstborn son Esau. Isaac began to tremble uncontrollably and said, Then who just served me wild game? I've already eaten it, and I blessed him just before you came. And yes, the blessing must stand. When Esau heard his father's words, he let out a loud, bitter cry. Oh, my father, what about me? Bless me too, he begged. But Isaac said, Your brother was here, and he tricked me, and he's taken away your blessing. Esau exclaimed, No wonder his name is Jacob, for he has now cheated me twice. First he took my rights as the firstborn, and now he has stolen my blessing. Oh, you haven't you saved even one blessing for me? Isaac said to Esau, I have made Jacob your master and declared that all his brothers will be his servants. I've guaranteed him an abundance of grain and wine. What have I left to give you, my son? Do you have only one blessing? Oh, my father, bless me too. Then Esau broke down and wept. Finally his father said to him, You will live away from the richness of the earth and away from the dew of the heaven above. You will live by the sword, and you will serve your brother. But when you decide to break free, you will shake his yoke from your neck. Yeah, so that is really low down, dirty trick there. Wow, Jacob. It's another of the indiscretions, that has been committed along the line of the birthing of Israel. Really, this is, Abram to Abraham, and Abraham had a son, Isaac. Isaac's children, Jacob and Esau. So this is only the third generation of Israel, and here Jacob is stealing the birthright. And God works with that still, but it's not right, and it was deceitful, and it's hard to understand how he still goes on to be the father of Israel, except for that he's just like everyone I've ever met in life. We are all sinners, fallen from grace. There's not one of us perfect. The only perfect one is the example that Jesus set for us. And I think that that's part of why these stories are so full of like, what, are you kidding? He said she was his sister, or what? He dressed up like his brother and stole his blessing? Poor Esau, but we're to understand that he's just like you and me, and we've done many of the same things, and we've deceived people. We've sinned. We sin every day probably, and God still wants you and loves you and wants to use you, and that's really the message behind these horrible things that the Old Testament people did to each other. So next, Jacob is going to flee to Paddan-Aram. From that time on, Esau hated Jacob because of their father had given Jacob the blessing. And Esau began to scheme. I will soon be mourning my father's death. Then I will kill my brother Jacob. But Rebekah heard about Esau's plans, so she sent for Jacob and told him, Listen, Esau is consoling himself by plotting to kill you. So listen carefully, my son. Get ready and flee to my brother Laban in Haran. Stay there with him until your brother cools off. When he calms down and forgets what you have done to him, I will send you for you to come back. Why should I lose both of you in one day? Then Rebekah said to Isaac, I'm sick and tired of these local Hittite women. I would rather die than see Jacob marry one. So that is Rebekah's idea of how to get Jacob out of the area so that Esau does not kill him. And, you'd think Isaac would be kind of upset with him too. But, God's going to take Jacob, this deceitful trickster. Jacob in Hebrew, I think they said it means something like trickster. And that's exactly what he's done so far. He's been kind of a schemer and a conniver. Stealing his brother's birthright for some stew, dressing up like his dad, like his brother to trick his dad. But he has not yet met the Lord. One thing was way back when back in the beginning of this chapter, when he had killed when he brought the goats for his dad to eat, and his dad was like, well, how did you do that so fast? And Jacob said, well, the Lord your God, not my God or our God, the Lord our God, no, your God. So that tells me that Jacob's not really into his father's worshiping a God. He's not into his father's religion or whatever, He doesn't follow the Lord yet. That is his father's God, soon to be Jacob's God. And, the message in this is whatever the Lord wants you to take from it. He will use you no matter what you've done. He used Jacob despite the ridiculous things. Abraham and Isaac both said, no, this is my sister, and let their wives be, taken into, to places where they could have been compromised quite easily. So the Lord works in mysterious ways, and you don't understand it until, a lot of the time that hindsight is 20/20, and I will be going through a struggle. I'll be trying to get through something, and then, you look back a couple of months later and you're like, oh, that is what he meant for me to get from this, or, oh, that's what he was doing that whole time. And just submitting to him and letting him become your God and worshiping him, understanding that he created this whole place for you, that just gives you a whole new perspective on life. And we're going to watch Jacob change through his struggles, through what he goes through, and become a God-fearing man, and become the father of Israel and the leader of a nation, essentially. I just pray that you soak this up into your heart and make it a foundation to stand upon. The Lord has put all of these stories in this book for us to learn from. It's like a textbook just as much as it is a self-help book and a book of love stories, and it's just got everything you could need in it. So just dive right in there and get some of it for yourself too.